in East Copperbelt Province, brings to you The Lens, a program designed to bring insightful information on economics, mining, education, health, tourism, agriculture, environmental issues, sports, entertainment, current affairs, and many issues affecting the well-being of society. Welcome viewers, and on today's program, On Your Lens, we are discussing football, specifically the game that Zambia played against Sierra Leone, where they managed to beat Sierra Leone 3-2 in an exciting encounter. And I am your host today, Tovin Ngombe. On the panel today, I have Melvin Merek, who is a soccer analyst. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tovin. Good to be here on The Lens.
And I have Mo Kaumba. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure to be on set.
And also I have Peter Chanda.
Thank you, Tovin. It's a pleasure being here.
Well, as we begin our program, as some of you might have watched the Zambia game encounter, and I have my panel here to discuss what transpired here at Lev Mwanawasa Stadium here in Ndola. Mr. Merek, maybe you can tell us how was the Zambia game?
Thank you, Tovin. The game that Zambia played against Sierra Leone, I think it was a tightly contested game. If you watched the game, I was right at the stadium. I think we did see Zambia starting very aggressively, but I think they never settled down, more especially in the first 15 minutes. I expected Zambia to score, but it wasn't the case. We saw a goal coming in the 28th minute coming from Kennedy Msonda, who is playing for Yanga, and that was a beautiful goal. The donkey work was done by the captain, Mambo Musonda, who managed to do that cross, and it was well finished by Kennedy Msonda. But within a few minutes, 4 minutes later, we saw how Kakbo, a Sierra Leone attacker, managed to equalize, and more disappointing to the soccer fans because it was level, and the game ended in the first half 1-1. But all in all, I think we did see the redemption. In the second half, we saw Zambia introducing Kelvin Kampamba, who brought more fire, more especially when the coach also realized that he needed also to introduce Joseph Sabobo Banda, who brought more enterprising in terms of running around with the ball. He was able to dribble the Sierra Leone defense and managed to cross, and it paid off, and Zambia were able to score another goal. So it was good for Zambia, more especially the substitutes which were introduced. So I think Coach Avram Grant did listen to the soccer fans, and he did the substitutions on time.
Kaumba, in our area program, you didn't actually predict the game. You just left it to fate. How do you look at the performance of the Zambia soccer team?
I think the game was really very interesting, and it's good that we won, but I think there is a lot more to be done, because you look at how we played. Immediately we score. It was barely 2 or 3 minutes, our opponents, Sierra Leone, equalized. And again, we did the same. We scored, it was 2-1. Again, we gave them a chance, they equalized. So what am I saying? I think the defense was not solid enough, and there's a lot that needs to be worked on. Remember, the last time we were here, we talked about the veteran Sunzu, to say Sunzu is no longer the Sunzu that we knew way back, because even I think, especially with the first goal, I think it came because of Stapela Sunzu. He wasn't really marking so tight. They were giving so much space to our opponents for them to even turn and probably shoot at goal. And I feel, for me, if that is the kind of mentality, or if that is the defense that we are going to go with, I think if at all we manage to qualify to the Africa Cup, then I think we are going to be punished badly. But nonetheless, I think it was a very good performance. Like my colleague has said, I think last time we talked about the coach making changes, and we saw this time around, I think those changes really did have a positive impact. We saw Kelvin Mangakampamba coming in and of course scoring a goal. Sabobo Banda was equally a marvel to watch. I think we could see how he was able to take on the defenders, and I think The game was actually very interesting, and I hope we can improve, especially just on the back, because the strikers did the best they could, but I think it was just the defense that was a bit let down.
Peter, you are also at Lev Mwanawasa. How do you look at the game which was played?
Tovin, like my two colleagues have said, it was a game that left so much to be desired. When you look at the amount of goals we scored and the amount of goals conceded, really, it's something we can't do, especially looking at the level we are playing at. And if we are to go to the AFCON, that's not the kind of level you should be conceding goals at. Well, some of the positives from yesterday's game, of course, was the left side. If you saw the left where Lubambo Msonda, Cletus Chota Chama, and Obino Chisala operated from, is the area where we were actually so dominant and useful, and we got all those 3 goals through the left. Again, unfortunately, all the goals were conceded from the right because it was porous. Lamek Banda was, of course, carrying an injury. He was heavily strapped up. We could see before he was substituted, and then we saw Chepeshi was not the Chepeshi we know, of course. On the right was a bit jittery, and there were a lot of unforced errors from that side, which meant Kings Kangwa also on the other side of the midfield and the side of the right, we were not as efficient as we should be as compared to the left side. Then the other thing I would say, Miguel Chaiwa is not yet ready to be the anchor midfielder alone. He would be better to be a ball carrier box to box if we have a natural holding midfielder. Otherwise, putting him in there was a little bit too much, and he was exposed, evidenced by the goals we conceded. The first one, of course, ball watching Kings Kangwa and the same Miguel Chaiwa, they did not coordinate well. We were on the right side of the pitch, and we ended up conceding. And then the other thing also is the coordination between Kabaso Chongo and Stopila Sunzu. The two defenders, of course, being veterans, and of course they've been in the game for some time, I expected them to do better than name calling and shifter blaming when we concede, especially on the second goal. That is unacceptable. You cannot allow a defender, or rather a striker, to tiptoe you in the box like he did and you know, concede a goal. And then overall, coming to the game, I would say the Sierra Leonean coach actually outwitted Avram Grant, because he knew what he wanted from that game. A draw or anything above that was going to be a bonus, because of how they responded after going down. A few minutes later, they equalized at 2 occasions. If that game had gone a bit longer, who knows what was going to happen. The other positive thing, though, from that to take home about should be, for the longest, we've seen a team with an impetus to win, a team with a desire. Right now, in the past, we used to have players, but right now we can see at least a team. It would be prudent to maintain that squad, or at least the backbone of the team that played against Sierra Leone.
Melvin, look at even also the distribution of the goals that were scored by the players. Kennedy Musonda, Muvanga Kampamba, and also Kings Kangwa. At least we are not depending on one person to score goals. Is that not a positive situation?
Yes, Tovin, that's a positive situation because just like you have said, if you look at the first goal that was scored by Zambia, you talk of Luambo Musonda running with the ball, and he did make that cross, which was well utilized by Kennedy Musonda, and it was 1-up for Zambia. Second goal, again, it was Kelvin Kampamba, super sub. I think even the way they coordinated with Cletus Chota Chama there, Kings Kangwa, and you saw how Kelvin Kampamba slotted in, and it was 2-up for Zambia. The only problem, I think, they were not practically disciplined in terms of defending, just like the two gentlemen have said. We allowed Sierra Leone to come back, and they managed to level it 2-2. And that gave them more motivation because they were very aggressive. We saw how they were able to coordinate, and they were able to fire even from afar. But then it came 85th minute, 5 minutes before time. I think we saw how Kingsley Kangwa, the usual magic that he always does, just like he did when Zambia took on Sierra Leone at Hero Stadium, you saw the clinical finish of the set piece, and it was 3-2 for Zambia. So that was great. I think now we have a good number of strikers who are able to score. Not only strikers, but even the midfielders are able to score. So that's good for Zambia, and we get to see better scoring opportunities for Zambia in the next matches.
Yes, for Kings Kangwa, it was a repeat of what happened with Zambia versus Comoros in the Africa Cup qualifier. It was the same scenario. Zambia was down and he came to the party, and this time he did this, the same thing. Maybe before we comment on that goal, let's pause a bit and watch how Kings Kangwa scored that free kick. Watched the clip about how Kings Kangwa scored, and that was a free kick that was because of Muvanga Kampamba's skills to dribble, and he forced one of the defenders to touch the ball. Brother Kaumba, how do you look at that goal?
I think it was a well-taken free kick. You look at, because I think at that instance we had 3 players who were interested in taking that set piece. We had Kelvin Mangakampamba himself, we had Cletus Chotachama, not forgetting the goal scorer Kings Kangwa. But I think these two, Cletus and Kemka, decided to leave it to Kings Kangwa because obviously they trusted him to say he could be able to deliver, and I think we saw he did the same against Comoros Island, and I think even this time we saw how he wonderfully took that free kick, which ended up into the back of the net. And I think for me that is the kind of spirit that we need. If you feel like your friend is maybe in a better position to take the set piece, you can easily leave it to him. And like it happened, I think on Tuesday, he was able to deliver. But nonetheless, I think it's the contribution of Kelvin Mangakampamba coming in as a super sub, scoring a goal, and of course creating that other scoring opportunity. That is what we need from a team. Even those who are on the bench, if at all you are given a chance to go in and prove what you are capable of doing, I think you need to make sure that you do your best so that you could earn a spot. I'll talk about Miguel Chayo. I think that's how Miguel Chayo earned a spot in the national team. He was given a chance and he was able to deliver, and from there the coach did see what the young lad was able to do, and from there I think we have seen him how he's able to do it, and I think that is what we need from all the team players, even those who are on the substitution bench. Otherwise, kudos to the goal scorer, not forgetting the one who created that goal scoring opportunity.
Maybe also looking at the performance of the young players who were included, like Obino Chisala and also Miguel Chaiwa, and they really came to the party, Mr. Peter.
Absolutely, and I remember earlier on I talked about what are some of the positives. Of course, we've seen a team that is hungry and wants to achieve. It was yesterday, and of course we saw the revelation of kids like Joseph Savobo Banda. Of course, Obino Chisala was enterprising. Of course, I talked about how effective he was towards attacking when we were on the left side of our attack. And then, of course, we didn't see the likes of Songa Chipioka, who's also been enterprising, youngster, rising up. And, of course, that's what we really need to do. We need to nurture the young ones. We need to have somebody to take it upon themselves, to have the intentionality to just help and nurture the boys to stay. Savobo was enterprising and stole the show. Of course, that's what was needed. We needed a breather. Of course, and of course, to take in a breath of fresh air into the team, having had Lamek Banda, having had a lackluster performance from him due to an injury, and later on we had Savobo Banda coming in, and of course later on we saw Obino Chisala paving way for Kemuka. Kemka, of course, with mixed emotions, having scored a goal and dedicated to his late mom. We say may her soul rest in peace. But that's a football we love. It has all the emotions covered up and delivered in a full package. The youngsters that are coming up, we need to nurture them and we need to make sure we transition properly.
Indeed. Melvin.
Yes, Tommy.
Yeah, if you look at the performance of the players, especially the new defenders, we saw Kabaso Chongo and we saw Isunzu, and their coordination, I'm sure Peter talked about their coordination, not good. How can it be improved so that at least in the next match we don't concede goals like the way we did at home?
Tovin, you agree with me that Stopila and Sunzu and Chongo, Kabaso, I think they haven't gelled, they haven't been together for some time. So you agree that Kabaso Chongo was recently called back to the national team, and they haven't played together with Stopila and Sunzu for some time, and that led not for them to coordinate. So going forward, I think there is something that I did observe just game watching Zambia play Sierra Leone. I think we saw that Kabaso Chongo, he was very stable with the ball, but then is equally very slow, just like Stopila and Sunzu. So going forward, we expect that they must just improve in their quickness in terms of clearing the ball from the danger zone. If they continue with the pace like Stopila and Sunzu, probably because of age, Stopila and Sunzu are not seeing much of his previous form. So the two, they just need to gel together. You have watched Frank Musonda play together with Stopila and Sunzu. I think we have seen a little bit of some coordination because Frank Musonda is good in terms of command. He has got that command and he's able to command his colleagues, more especially at the back. So going forward, I think Kabaso Chongo should just improve so that he's still very fit as compared to Stopila and Sunzu. So I think the problem is just they haven't been together for some time, and that made them not to coordinate very well. But I think they were, more especially Kabaso Chongo, is slowly improving. He's played that game against Sierra Leone. We saw him play against Ivory Coast. I think he's on point. He just needs to improve, more especially in terms of clearing the ball.
Kaumba, let's look at also the performance of Benedict Chepeshi. In the last game against Ivory Coast, he was not part of the team, but this time the coach gave him the chance to prove himself as well, and he was in the team. And we could see some overlapping moves in the game. How do you look at his performance as well? As a defender?
I think that is what Benedict Chepeshi is best known for. He is an overlapping defender, and I think probably the reason why the coach didn't consider him when we played away in Ivory Coast was because, if you remember very well, I think just toward the end of the league, Benedict Chepeshi had an injury. And I think obviously the coach didn't consider him because of match fitness, but I think we've seen him how he's been able to perform for Zesco United, which is his new club now. And I think for me, yesterday's performance, yes, like Peter had mentioned, there were a few lapses here and there, but overall I think he was good in terms of moving forward. But I think the only area where he needed to improve was, I think, passes. We could see sometimes he could put some misplaced passes, and in the end I think that was some sort of giving a chance to our opponents, and I think we saw a lot of breakdowns from where Benedict Chepeshi was operating from. But nonetheless, I think, like we mentioned, there are so many lessons that we could pick from that game, and I think we also need to improve in that area, especially the part where Benedict Chepeshi was orchestrating from. But from the other side where we had the captain, I think even when he was overlapping, we could see that he had enough good cover up from I think his colleagues. But I think it's just the part where Benedict Chepeshi was operating from. That's where we had a few lapses here and there, but it was all good.
Indeed. Also, let's look at the performance of Chota Chama, and also the performance of Kennedy Musonda, who even actually managed to score the first goal. Peter, how do you look at the performance of our players?
Tovin, when you look at Kennedy Musonda, everyone will agree he's a workaholic. He gives you all, and he'll be there to to mark as well as attack. And of course, I was one of the happiest to see him score. That was a good glancing header. And then he's been also performing well for Yanga. So the two actually being both clubmates as well as compatriots are playing for the national team together. When you look at Cletus Chama, I think he's not new to giving performances like that, even though if you know Cletus, you'd feel he would have even been better to drift and operate from inside, unlike from the wing. But nevertheless, a professional player he is, he delivered even from there. I feel they played well with Lubambo Msonda, Obino Chisala, as well as finally linking up with Kennedy Msonda. I almost said Kemka anyway. But yeah, that's what teamwork does for you. The left side was efficient, and of course the two people that you've mentioned really put in a good shift, and it's a shift that led us to getting the 3 maximum points, and of course make us sit second on the log, because Ivory Coast have already amassed 6 points. But that's some of the players we need to retain and make sure they are utilized to their best abilities, and then that way to help the team as well.
Indeed. Maybe let's look at also the behavior of the soccer fans in the stadium also last night. We saw after Sierra Leone equalized the second goal, we saw them throwing some missiles in the stadium, especially on the side where the visitors were seated. What's your advice to the soccer fans to behave well? Because one time, maybe if they continue with that behavior, FIFA can ban us and the games can be played closed doors. Melvin.
Yes, Tovin, that was uncalled for the soccer fans. Very disappointing. We saw some missiles being thrown on the pitch, which was very disappointing enough for the Zambian soccer fans. Yes, they may be disappointed that Sierra Leone, like it was, they managed to equalize. It was 2-0. Mustafa leveled almost towards the end of the game. I think it was around 79th minute. They leveled, it was 2-0. But then we saw that soccer fans became very rude. They started throwing those missiles. So just the timely advice to the soccer fans that whenever Zambia is playing, let them not become unruly or indisciplined, because that, just like you said, Tovin, may lead Zambia to be banned, and you see Zambia playing outside from home, and that will be very disappointing, because they won't have even that opportunity to watch their lads, playing, and you used to have a long way to go. You have the Nations Cup, which has just started. Zambia will be playing some more games, so that was quite disappointing, and we only urge the soccer fans to behave themselves. Indeed,
Brother Kaumba, how do you look at that behavior also?
I think it's very important as soccer fans to acknowledge and accept that in football there are 3 results. You either win, you can draw, or you can lose some. But despite you losing, I think it's not right that you start throwing missiles on the field of play. Like my colleagues have mentioned, I think there are repercussions that comes with us doing that, because the FA can be fined to pay huge sums of money. And not only that, there are also the issues of you playing your home games away from home. I don't think we would love to see our team playing away from home, where it will actually be very difficult for us to follow them and watch them from that side. But otherwise, I think for me, that behavior should nowhere be entertained and of course be tolerated. We need to be professional, and of course we need to accept results as they come.
Wow. Peter, what's your advice to the national team for them to continue? We are remaining with 4 games, and now we still have a long way, even to ensure that maybe we beat all the remaining teams. What's your advice to them to continue performing better?
Well, Tovin, we know it's a long journey, and we want to be in Morocco and participate in the AFCON. Of course, it would be great to do it twice on a trot, having missed 3 editions before last time out, when we actually put in an underwhelming performance, of course eliminated from the group stages. My advice would be, let's continue dreaming, and of course put in the right attitude, and fused in with good work rate. You can only do so much and give out a good output if these two things, the attitude and the work rate, coordinates, and football that way obeys, and results will follow you. Let's also maintain the team. This, of course, is my appeal to the coach. Let's maintain the team, and of course, for those that will continue with the good performances, let them be the backbone of the team. And let's continue selecting. By me saying let's maintain the team, I don't mean we can't bring new blood. For fresh blood, we can do, but let's select based on performances and not names. That way we can build a team. It's been long since we had a team. We've had players playing, but right now, yesterday it looked like a team is now gelling together. They had the impetus, they had the coordination, and they were playing for one another.
Peter, your advice to the national team and also to Avram Grant. I'm sure people have been calling for his resignation, and now at least he brought some smile to the soccer fans. What's your advice?
Tovin, for the first time, I think I was very impressed, particularly myself. I was very impressed because he listened, and more especially on substitutions. I think we saw that he was able to make substitutions on time. I'll give you an example of Lamek Banda. I think Lamek Banda started, he was in the starting 11, and we did see a match of Lamek Banda obviously because of his injury. But I think he did introduce Kemka, and also there was an introduction of Joseph Sabobo Banda, who for me, I think they did bring more fire. I think the Chipolopolo were able to entertain the fans, more especially where Joseph Sabobo Banda was orchestrating from. We saw those passes, and it almost paid out when he did beat the Sereno defense and crossed, and Kennedy Musonda did head that ball, and only the EU survived because of their goalkeeper, who was very late. But all in all, I think going forward, we can say that Avram Grant should be able to be seen to make those meaningful changes and expected changes, and we'll see Zambia performing. I think for the first time I did see, it's like he listened to our discussion last time when we had this program, Tovin. I think we did emphasize that as a coach, as a manager, you must be at least sometimes you just stand on the touchline, give those instructions to the players. They feel motivated and you see them delivering. And yesterday, I did observe that Avram Grant, he was standing and you could see the soccer fans applauding him, giving instructions. Going forward, I think that was good enough, and we expect such to repeat themselves.
Wow, that's good. Brother Gao, what's your advice as well, especially as now we still have crucial matches remaining?
I think my advice to the coach is let's approach each game as it comes. I'm usually not comfortable with the way he approaches games, especially when we are playing against a team that is slightly above us, because in most cases, like we saw in Ivory Coast, maybe the instructions are let's go and defend, but again, you cannot defend the entire 90 minutes. At least once in a while you need to give, I think, headaches to your opponents as well. Because I feel even the game that we won on Tuesday, if at all we played against probably a team like Ivory Coast or Senegal, I don't think we could have seen Zambia attacking like the way we did attack. I feel for me, it's just about how you play your cards. And even, yes, football has evolved. There are no underdogs these days, but I think it's just about how you play your cards, and especially in the middle of the pack. Like I mentioned, what really helped us, especially even to win that game on Tuesday, were the substitutions that he brought in. He brought in players who were more of attacking minded, like Kelvin Mangakampamba. You talk about Joseph Sabobo Banda, who was equally exceptional. So I think it's just about playing your cards very well, and even the players, let's have the right mentality. If you are given a chance, try to die a little bit for Mother Zambia, and I think that is the kind of spirit that we want. Otherwise, what we saw on Tuesday, the players were really willing to win. The players had the anger to win the game. That's why at the end of the day, we saw even that result, which were 3-2 in favor of the boys.
Indeed. Peter, as we can, Zambia is in a group G. Against, we have Ivory Coast there, Chad, and also we have Sierra Leone. And the game between Ivory Coast and Chad, Ivory Coast was away and they managed to beat Chad 2-0, and now they're on top of the table. How also do you look at that game, given that we are in the same group with Ivory Coast?
Well, from the time the draws were made, everyone knew it was going to be a tough group. And of course, it's been for participants that are in there. Of course, Ivory Coast being at the top of the pile with 6 points, closely followed by, I can't say closely followed, I'll just say second Zambia, because there's a 6 point and 3 point gap there. So the Chadians are not doing good, and they don't seem to be going in the right direction right now, having drawn against Sierra Leone in the opener, and then they were beaten at home by Ivory Coast. It may just as well end as it is at the end of the day. The group may just be as it's looking right now. It's tough, but we hope for the best, and we hope that Zambia can pick up pieces and, of course, make a qualification. That's all we are looking for, and we, as a patriotic Zambian, we closely rooting for the Chipolo Polo boys.
So let's look at club football. Our CAF envoys, the Red Arrows, will be playing against TP Mazembe, our neighbors here just in Mumbashi. Melvin, how do you look at that game which will be played here, right here in Ndola at Lev Mwanawasa? How do you look at that game as well?
Thank you, Tobin. Red Arrows playing host TP Mazembe. I think the game, obviously, everyone expects that TP Mazembe, the way the team is known, I think they have played at the highest level. They have played the CAF Champions League. They have played the Confederation Cup, and they have been all over in terms of playing at that bigger stage as compared to Red Arrows. So for me, I think the game will be very tightly contested. In the fact that Red Arrows, I think if you look at Red Arrows, it's a team in the Zambian Premier League that is doing so fine. It's a team that I think has received much of support coming from the Zambia Air Force sponsors, and we have seen what Red Arrows have done. They went to Tanzania. They managed to win that Sekafa, where they were the guest team. And looking at the game of TP Mazembe, Tovin, you may try to argue in that TP Mazembe is a team that is known to be having good players. But for me personally, I feel that Red Arrows may simply do well playing at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, because I think TP Mazembe is like they are also rebuilding. They are trying to ensure that the team is back into shape the way they used to have the Treso Mputru, Calabas of this world, and many other Kavaso Chongos of this world, those guys that have played with TP Mazembe. But now it's like they are gelling up and they are also trying to rebuild the team. So if Red Arrows just coordinate well, they may simply win at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. We only wish that Red Arrows can carry the day.
Kaumba, normally TP Mazembe has been a good side, and they have been champions of African League football. And now they are meeting Red Arrows, and on experience, I give credit to TP Mazembe. How do you look at the situation, especially this Saturday?
Yeah, I think on paper TP Mazembe are going in as favorites. The odds are favoring them to probably carry the day this coming Saturday. But I think football being what it is, I think Red Arrows can equally cause an upset. I think TP Mazembe of today is no longer the TP Mazembe that we saw, I think, some years back. I think we saw them at some points. They even went to play at the Club World Cup, where they met, I think, should be Real Madrid. But I think that was the team then. But I think the team that we have now, I feel like if Red Arrows could just, I think, have the right mentality, prepare themselves adequately, they can cause an upset. But I think it's yes, Red Arrows will be playing away, I mean at home, but away from their usual home, that is in Koloma Stadium. This time around, they will be at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, and slightly, I think they will be slightly far away from their fans who are in Charleston and of course Avondale. That's where they have got, I think, a very huge fan base. But nonetheless, I think it's all upon us as Zambians to rally behind our team, and we expect, I think, to see a good number of our fans trekking to the stadium just to give support to the team. Otherwise, I feel this is a game that Red Arrows can easily get a positive result this Saturday.
Peter, Red Arrows versus TP Mazembe, and given the history for Red Arrows, they haven't been doing so well on the continental stage. And maybe this time, do we have hope that they will do better?
Tovin, when you look at the CAF Champions League football, it's a top-tier club football when it comes to the continent we are in. And when you look at TP Mazembe, they're the 5-time champions, of course. They know how to win it. They know how to navigate past group stages. And this is the secondary preliminary qualification series. If they win this, they will find themselves in group stages. And of course, looking at Red Arrows, they may not have had it easy, and this will be a litmus test. Of course, we saw them dispatch Nyasa Big Bullets before they went through to the second round, where they now face Tupisa Mazembe, the legendary club when it comes to this same competition. And when you look at Tupisa Mazembe, they've taken it serious. Of course, we saw them having some preparations. They are testing the waters. They had friendlies with Ankana. Of course, two back-to-back games of which they won. And of course, you can see how serious they are testing the Zambian football and trying to see how Zambian clubs play. And this time around, they'll be playing Red Arrows, who are the only hopes for Zambia, because we had Zesco being booted out of the secondary CAF club football. That's the Confederation Cup. So yeah, it will be a tough game. However, we know Red Arrows have what it takes to cause an upset, like everybody's saying, but looking at the qualification as well as the caliber of the club TP Mazembe this will be a tough litmus test for Chisimbewe's side. But looking at Chisimbewe and how he's performed in the East Africa for the Sekafa as well as for the Yanga Day, and in the league they haven't been that bad. So it's a game that actually leaves us fans with an impetus to want to be in front of a screen, or at least take the front row at the magnificent Levi Mwanawasa Stadium and watch a game.
Maybe as we come to the end of our program, Melek, what's your appeal to the fans for the game coming against Red Arrows and TP Mazembe at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium to be played right here in Ndola on the Copper Belt? And also your last words again for the previous game that Zambia played against Sierra Leone.
Yes, thank you, Tovin. In the first place, I would say that that was good enough for Zambia, having posted those results, because it meant that Zambia collected 3 maximum points. And going forward, I think Zambia will be playing back-to-back against Chad, away and home, probably next month. And I would urge the fans that they need to be disciplined. We have said that if they continue with that unruly behavior, then we must see that Zambia will be banned by the Confederation of African Football, and we'll see that Zambia may not be playing at home. Looking at Red Arrows, and probably my advice to Coach Chisimbewe, I want to say that let him continue with the great spirit that he has already shown us. He has what it takes. He has the leverage to ensure that he may see Red Arrows go past TP Mazembe. Mo did mention that they managed to dispatch Nyasa Big Bullets of Malawi, and we're expectant that they will replicate the same form and beat, for me, not so favorite TP Mazembe.
Peter, your last words.
Tovin, it's been a great show, of course, talking about the Zambia's performance in the AFCON qualifier. as well as the TP Mazembe. All I can say is let's wish all the best to Red Arrows as they face Tupisa Mazembe, and of course congrats to the Chipolopolo boys for minting 3 points and beating Sierra Leone at the back home.
Thank you. Kaumba, your last word as well.
I think it's been a great show, and we would like to congratulate our boys for picking up a maximum points against Sierra Leone right here at home. And for Red Arrows, I think my encouragement is you can do it. Just prepare yourselves adequately. You have got the right mentality. You've got enough arsenals in your team. I think just prepare yourselves adequately. I think it will be about the words that Coach Chisimbewe will tell his players that will matter the most. But I feel Red Arrows has got what it takes. And my appeal to the soccer fans, especially those within Ndola, is let's turn up in huge numbers and support our envoys, that is Red Arrows, to make sure that I think they carry the day this coming Saturday at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, because they are the only representatives that we have in Zambia so far.
Thank you. Well, viewers, we now come to the end of our program, and on my panel I had Melvin Melek, who's a soccer analyst, and also I had Mo Kaumba, a soccer analyst as well, and Peter Chanda, a soccer analyst. And it has been a pleasure analyzing the game, gentlemen, especially the game against Zambia versus Sierra Leone, where they collected maximum points, and we say congratulations to Team Zambia. And also we are appealing to the fans to turn up in numbers as well to watch Red Arrows versus TP Mazembe, our neighbors here. And I have been your host, Tovin Ngombe, and together with my technical team in the background, we say goodbye, see you next time on The Lens.